Hey, what's up guys, S2EP30 here. We're back with another episode. Ahly and Sundowns provide a classic. Kaizer Chiefs just win the Derby. And Orlando Pirates, where were your big guns? Gotta talk about it. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
CAF Champions League Match Day 3. The big one. It was the massive one. It was the two quality sides going head to head. The one that never fails. You know, this game never fails. And Sundowns almost won me some good money on this game. Ahly going up against Masandawana. Game ending 2-2. I mean, it was a classic, to be honest. You know, the quality of that game was just next level. You know, in terms of a tactical aspect, both teams were not interested in sitting back at all. Both teams were not afraid of one another as well. And you could see that Mamelodi Sundowns wanted to wrap up the game with the points. You know, they wanted to get 9 points. They edged closer to sort of being qualified to the knockout stages. And Ahly as well. They were under pressure. I mean, they were under pressure because they lost their first game against Ahly. And then Ahly went and won their second game. So Ahly needed the points. They definitely needed the points. Two teams that are obsessed with possession. Ahly was pressing. And guess who was leading the press? Percy Tau, what a player. It's good to see him play football again. It's good to see that he is improving in terms of having his game, running around, being mobile. Something that I didn't see at Brighton, but he's been working on it in Egypt, that's for sure. And Sundowns playing out from the back. And one thing I appreciate about Mamelodi Sundowns is they had to be methodical in how they go forward, in having to try get a goal. And they kept on playing out from the back. They told themselves, even though Ahly is right in front of us, we're going to keep playing out, even though they made mistakes. But then, the one time they get a chance, they break through the press. And Cassius Mammila finds Peter Shalile and it becomes 1-0. Now, the only thing that would be disappointing for Mamelodi Sundowns is that in the second half, this is something that they could have managed better because Ahly was going to come out fighting, was going to come out and throw waves at them. And I don't think they dealt with it really well. It became a little bit messy. Suddenly, Ahly's getting corners as well. And you can see they've got big boys. They're having to score within the corner. But they managed to come back. Even though at some point Ahly was leading 2-1, they managed to come back, make it 2-2. Credit to them. Thapelo Morena scoring again in Egypt. He loves to score in Egypt. But this is what they've done recently. You know, Mamelodi Sundowns, you have to give them the credit. Look at their record in the last 5 games against Ahly. They've only lost once. They've drawn twice and they've won twice. Scoring 6 goals in that process. So Sundowns is now starting to come with the method of having to play this African giant. And I want to give Rulani some credit, man, because this team looks different. Like it feels different. It looks more ruthless. It looks like they're not scared of playing anyone. It even seems like you could put Real Madrid in front of them. They wouldn't even be scared of them, you know? And he deserves the credit because of just that's the way that they look. They now look to score more goals as well. Let's look at the table. At this current moment, Sundowns 7 points, Ahly 6 points, Ahly only 1 point, Cotton Sport on 0 points. And I have to say, Sundowns proved within this game is that they sit at that elite table. They sit there with Wydad Casablanca, Esperance. They're there. Sundowns, Ahly, you put them right there. And you get so excited seeing the side because it represents South Africa in a very good way and just how they've grown even on the pitch. But obviously, you have those flashbacks of the last couple of years. It was always quarterfinals. So it's like, I'm very sure that they're going to get to quarterfinals, but can they get past just that one hurdle? They invite Ahly back within the next game. And when they play at home, Loftus, I back Mamelodi Sundowns to beat this Egyptian side and get the 3 crucial points. First loss for Marumo Gallants in the CAF Confederations Cup. They played against Algiers, you know, that team in Algeria. And it's a big achievement for a club that was founded just a couple of years back to be playing a team of this magnitude. Let's look at the table. They're sitting second at this point. And I think they have enough to go through to the next round. The next game is Mamelodi Sundowns, interesting enough, in the Nedbank Cup. I think they're trying to get them out the way and see who can settle this tie. I do see Sundowns winning that game. I just think Sundowns have more than what Marumo Gallants does have. But with that being said, when they've played against FC Saint and Alakda as well, you could just see they've got enough quality to go to the next round. The only thing that worries me about Marumo Gallants is that the other teams in the league are starting to pick up points. And that is where they need points the most. But they have to play these CAF games because of the massive achievement they did in the Nedbank Cup last season. So I think they'll go through, but it'll be interesting to see what they do in the league because other teams are starting to leave them. It is the massive one. It is the historic one. It is the one game that makes the country stand still. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Soweto Derby. That turned out to be a wah, wah, wah. I was disappointed. I really was. And I was disappointed in both sides. Let's start with the Orlando Pirates perspective. So this team comes in good form. Played 5 games, won 4, scoring goals as well. Lorch is back, Saleng is there. I'm thinking like they're going to go for Kaizer Chiefs. But they didn't. They didn't. They looked like they were fearful of Kaizer Chiefs' counterattack. They looked like they could not even unsettle the defense of Kaizer Chiefs. They didn't want to go for it. They didn't want to make mistakes. And, the red card changes the game. Mammila gets sent off. They have to change the game. They have to now play on the counter themselves. But then again, they were just paying too much respect. And eventually they make the mistake. And it leads to Kaizer Chiefs winning the game. And for me, it's Orlando Pirates paying the price for not going for it at the start of it. Let's go to the gold and black corner. Kaizer Chiefs, I think their game plan was very obvious. They wanted to play on the counter. They wanted to use the speed and pace of Keegan Dolian as well as S2EP30. They sat back. I'm watching them and I'm like, how can't they? You guys are scared as well. So you have two sides they don't want to go for each other. They're just like sussing each other out. And also, Orlando Pirates goes down to 10 men. I'm thinking, okay, Arthur Zwane, this is your chance. This is your moment. Let's see, work your magic. He doesn't go for it. He doesn't make changes. The clock reads 73 minutes. He's only made 1 change. And they're down to 10 men. They've been playing for about 16 minutes with a man more, and he's not making attacking changes. He's not sacrificing a defender or sacrificing a holding player to bring on an attacking player. But there was a winner. Ndao makes the mistake. I blame Sipho Chane for coming out and trying to grab the ball. I blame him for that. And I think at least there will be bragging rights that fans will talk about throughout the week and probably till the end of the season and say, yeah, but we beat you because Kaizer Chiefs completed the double over Orlando Pirates. But the game was flat. I mean, the game was disappointing. The worst thing about it was right after that game, you go watch Mamelodi Sundowns and Ahly and you're just like, the level of quality is just, it's chalk and cheese, man. It's just, there's a different level, that's for sure. It reminded me of a Premier League game, Liverpool against Chelsea. Big names. You look at the names, they're big. The one that played at Anfield, the 0-0, big names. But both teams were poor. And you watch Orlando Pirates and you watch Kaizer Chiefs play in that manner and you just feel like, wow, Shakes, you might just have to accept that's the level of where they're at. That's the level where they're at. They panned the camera to the stands and you saw the legends that were there. Betway ambassador Lucas Radebe was there as well. I mean, there were legends within the crowd. You saw even the numbers that came in, 78,000 fans that showed up. And I was just like, fans deserve more than that. They deserve far more than that. And that's not what Kaizer Chiefs or Pirates gave them. I'm glad it's done, this game. For now, I guess, because they might meet each other in the Nedbank Cup. But I'm glad in the league it's done because for all the hype, the fans show, for all the hype the broadcasters show, I'm just hoping that Pirates and Chiefs, you get it to grips, bro. People still care about this fixture. And while people still care, make something of it. Make something of it because you watch Sundowns and you're just like, the biggest compliment I could just give Mamelodi Sundowns is any other team in the PSL would have not beat Ahly in that game. Would have not even gotten a point within that game. But Sundowns were able to go to Egypt and get a point. The only thing I leave you guys with, or I guess the most positive thing I leave you guys with, is played the same number of games, won the same amount of games, drawn the same amount of games, and lost the same amount of games between the Bucks and Amakosi, who finished higher. But it was just disappointing for me. A big milestone took place this past weekend. Not only did SuperSport beat Maritzburg United, Bradley Grobler reached the 100 club. Let's look at his record. He scored 20 goals for Platinum Stars. Remember them? Cape Town Spurs, 4. And then SuperSport United, 76 goals in 340 games. You know, his story is a special one as well. You know, we got a lot of special stories in our league. A player who's battled with injuries, missed out on a lot of games. The fact that he's only played 340 so far, he should be at about 500 games. At minimum 500. But he's had so many of that, so many setbacks, you know, Achilles, knees. But for some reason, he always came back and he was always better as well. And even though he took his goal against Maritzburg United on his weaker foot, guys, and he volleys it in that way. Yes, he missed the penalty, but once it rebounded, he just hits it back. And you can imagine, if it wasn't for those injuries that he's had to face throughout his career, how many goals do you think Bradley Grobler would have had? I mean, I think he would have had 150. 150 goals. I genuinely do believe that. And he joined some stellar names. Look at that list. Nomvete tops the list. Then you got Daniel Madao, did wonder things at Sundowns. Mabuti Kanyeza obviously traveled through a number of clubs, but he scored quite a lot. Tiko, Jomo Cosmos, Orlando Pirates, and Besuma. I mean, there's not a lot of things you can't say bad about this player. Now, I look at Nomvete, I just think Nomvete is far. 123, I don't know if Bradley Grobler will score another 24 goals within his career, because I look at his age and I look at the fact that SuperSport probably need to, at some point, move on from him in terms of having to rely on his goals. But I do believe he can get to second place. I believe he can get another 11 goals for sure. Because next season, I think he'll be back and he'll be firing again. The following season, I'm not necessarily sure. But one thing I can say about you, Grobler, you are a role model, man. And all for those younger players, if there's someone you want to look at his record, look at how the fact that he always came back. And to you, I salute you, Bradley. There is never a dull day in the life of DSTV Premiership. We've had another coach change at the same club. Kurt Lentjies replaces Morgan Mammila as head coach at Chippa United. Yeah, nah. Let's paint the picture from the start. So Dinkley took over at the start of the season, was not playing really great football, had that one big game against Sundowns where they sat back majority of the game. Morgan Mammila comes in. They picked up wins. They played better. I won't lie, his football was much better than Dinkley's. I can give you that for sure. And things changed. But with things changing, all of a sudden Morgan Mammila started to be more confident. He was a lot more vocal in the media. You know, you remember that press conference against Mamelodi Sundowns. You know, it's easy to play Mamelodi Sundowns. He was speaking with a lot of confidence. But then eventually, if you're going to talk, you got to be able to do the walk. Suddenly the results dried up. His last 10 games, have a look. 4 draws, 5 losses, 1 win. They've stayed in the bottom 4 since that game at Sundowns. They've stayed there, even to a point that Swallows have now caught up to them. When I watched that game and afterwards, Morgan Mammila speaks to the media and he says he admitted that Swallows wanted it more than his own players did. And it just felt like someone who was defeated, someone who was accepting at the fact that maybe these players need a different voice. Maybe I've taken them too far. And hence why Kurt Lentjies comes in. And apparently he already started taking training yesterday. I'm not going to tell Chippa Mbengezi how to run his club because I've tried. I've tried to advise. He's not listening. If he feels like something is in trouble, he will definitely make the change. Is it stable for a football club to run like this? Because this is coach number 3 of the season. So one thing it's showing that the status is crucial to Chippa and Benni. He wants to keep the status, but going in future, it's just, I don't know if it really helps. But for Kate Lentjies, welcome back, and I wish you all the best. It's time for our weekly bet of the week. The purpose of this segment is to show you my bet slip in hopes that it helps yours light and green. The more accurate, the more cash you get. Let's get into it. So before I get started on this week's bet of the week, I made some money. You know that boring Soweto Derby I was speaking about? Have a look at that. How did I know 1 goal or less would settle that game? So I made money by betting under 1.5. But for this week, we've got FA Cup, we've got Premier League. Bristol City take on Manchester City. I've gone with Man City win and over 1.5 goals. Arsenal against Everton in the Premier League. I've gone Arsenal win and over 1.5 goals. Manchester United against West Ham United. I think they will be confident after winning the cup. Manchester United win or draw and over 1.5 goals. And last but not least, Sheffield United taking on Tottenham Hotspurs. And I've gone with Tottenham to win that game. The odds, 5.26. I'm going for it. I'm trying to make my money go times 5. And those are my selections for this week. That is Bet of the Week, sponsored by Betway. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Until the next one, all the best. We've come to the end of the show. Before I sign out, Benni McCarthy winning a trophy with a club that he loves. What a story. Inspirational. And for you that's watching, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.